This program is brought to you in part by SalCal Real Estate Connections. Yes, welcome to Don Moon's Racing Memories from Plainville Stadium, as we're going to have a little get-together today with some of the interesting people who made Plainville Stadium a place they called home. And believe me, you're in for a treat today, as some of these cars will bring you back memories that when you were a kid. Absolutely. And yes, Mr. Don Moon, we are at your facility here with a bunch of very interesting people. And where are they all from? Are they from Plainville Stadium?
They're all from original cars from Plainville Stadium. If not, they're replicas. And we got them all together here so we could talk about Plainville Stadium and the reunion.
It's hard to believe. How many years have gone by since Plainville has gone away?
I started in 1960, 60 years ago, and I still remember Plainville Stadium like I was yesterday morning. And I get up every morning, I look at my new door and the display I made about Plainville Stadium, and all I think about is Plainville Stadium.
Wow. Well, that's good. I am just at awe at I see Mr. Mordino's car here, and let me tell you, his history was special. And this car, I would just love to bring it home, put it right in my garage. I'll tell you.
I know you will. You've been talking about cars for years. We're going to have to get you one together so you can take it around the track a couple laps.
Yeah, I put a vintage motorcycle together, but my days of the two-wheel affair are over. Let me tell you. So you're right, and that brings me to another question, and I want your feeling on this. They have vintage car events today that are real. I mean, they race. There's no parading around. They're racing. What do you think of that?
I think a lot about it. I says I wouldn't get in that car unless I put it to the floor and let it go. Let it all hang out because that's what racing's all about. Not the putt around the track. You got to get on the high side, low side, and go racing.
I have to tell you, I was shocked by it. Not only asphalt cars, dirt cars too. I mean, it's becoming a big deal. And my personal feeling, I like vintage cars better than I do the modern day racing.
Yes, I believe it. But the kids today got it made because everything is bought and made, and they get in the car and just step on the gas and go. We didn't start that way. We built everything from scratch, and we had to learn how to go fast. We had to learn how to change the camshaft to make the motor go faster. At least I did, anyways.
We just had to know. We had to find out where the junkyards were. That's all we had to worry about.
Oh, that was my best friend. Like Donnie Bassano says, your best friend was the junkyard. I got everything out of the junkyard, and I moonified it.
That's it. Well, Don, we got a lot of people here we got to talk to. I want to thank you, and this affair is just, I hope we do this every year.
Thank you, Larry, for coming.
And I'm sorry I missed the reunion, but because of COVID restrictions, I had to lay low, and unfortunately, I tested negative, and, we're back at it again.
That's good. We all want to be healthy, and we want to see another year.
Absolutely. Take care, buddy. Thank you. And you kiss that wonderful wife of yours
No
for me.
problem.
Okay. And yes, Tony Mordino, you made my day today. When I look at this 52 car, it just brings me back when I was a kid. And I'm sure it does the same for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. Just having the car in the garage is fun. My wife and I go out. We put a table out there. We have lunch. I mean, just still so new. Been working on it for about 4 or 5 years now, on and off. And wanted to complete this thing before too much more time passed, The original car owners are still alive, and a fella named Mickey Lucas and Frank Carnamola built the car, owned the car that my dad drove, 1961, to 10 feature wins at Plainville Stadium, 7 of them in a row. Joe Tinty placed a bounty for anybody to beat him. And I wanted, as a kid, this is the car I remember, and I wanted to have a little replica of it. It's not the original car, but
I'll tell you, it ain't far off.
no, it's got a newer suspension under it, but it's got the similar Plymouth body, and it's. I told my wife I wanted the car to look like it, but I wanted to be able to maybe take it out and do some of that vintage racing you guys were talking about earlier. But it doesn't even have a scratch on it yet, so we're gonna wait give it a few, take it to a few shows before we.
You don't want to tempt fate, right?
Yeah, not yet. No, unfortunately, some of the vintage cars have been torn up, and my wife said this is supposed to be a tribute to your dad. What kind of tribute is it going to be if you take it home in a bundle, right?
I mean, it is getting very popular, that vintage racing. I mean, the problem is they get a little overzealous, and you know what? The red mist take over. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly. You know, it's not the mechanical parts; it's the bodies on these cars. This body's 80. You know, it's a 1937 body, so you got to try to get an 84-year-old body to replace it, and they're tough to find.
Oh yeah, it's getting tougher and tougher.
Yep.
Thank God they make replicas now.
Yeah. This is a steel. This isn't a fiberglass or you know, an aftermarket body. And my brother Michael gave me a big hand. You know, there's so many people that you know stepped up and gave me a hand. I've got their names on a little plaque that I show at the car. But appreciate everything they did. It was fun working with those people on the car. Kind of miss it, to be honest with you. It was almost like once the project's done, you're like, well, now what do we do? But we're taking it to shows, so this is fun too.
Oh, you'll enjoy it. Yeah, the battles your dad had with Lou Colangelo, they are epic. I'll tell you. I can remember it clear as day. You know, them two going at it.
Yeah, there was a bunch of guys at Plainville. My dad competed with Lou being one of them in '61. He was the main competition. But there were guys like George Lombardo and that XD2 and Harry Bliss and the Flying 8, and there was a lot of good drivers. You know, the Galulu Guadiosis, the you know, later on, you know, Jap Membrino. You know, there was, Danny ran that Flamia car, the 63, and he was always fast wherever he went. And while Billy Greco didn't compete too much at Plainville, he was mostly a West Haven Speedway and Riverside guy. My dad, you know, he was tough competition as well. You know.
Your father races Seven Rock too, right?
Yeah, he won 30 races at West Haven Speedway.
Oh my God! Oh my dear.
Nick, one of the members in there, Nick Tito, did a little summary, and I'm not saying we have every race down, but he did a wonderful job going to libraries, getting newspaper column clippings, and Billy and my father had about the same amount of races won at West Haven, about 30 each. Yeah.
Wow, that's special. Let me tell you.
You know, you know, Plainville was another place my dad was successful, and I don't think people realize that he won at Thompson, Waterford, Islip. You know, every track he went to, he ran Stafford for a year, and he didn't win a race that year that he ran for John Lucas Savage, but that car just never handled. And but other than that, he was pretty racy.
Oh yeah, he was it. Let me tell you, I could remember as a kid like it was yesterday, how good he handled the car. And let me tell you, when you could drive a car at Plainville Stadium, you could drive a car anywhere.
Yeah, you've seen guys like Davey Elkis and these guys move on, Ronnie Wyckoff, and they go to different tracks, and they were competitive.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you, and I got to tell you, the job on this car was excellent.
Thank you.
It is gorgeous.
Appreciate
Thank you, Tony.
Okay.
Very good, buddy. And yes, Mr. Elkis, we get together again for the Plainville Stadium people, huh? How did the reunion go?
Yeah, Larry, it was real good. I think with all the events that we did have going on at the same time, we had a decent crowd, equal to the years before, maybe a little bit more, but yeah, it went very, very well.
Yeah, I kind of missed it. Unfortunately, I had to lay low, and you know, you just have those days, I guess. But thank God everything worked out for us. You know, we ended up testing good, and you know, the reunion went off, and I heard people enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're right, Larry. And we everybody stepped up to the plate to to put the whole menu together. The work was appreciated by a lot of the fans that came over there. We had a lot more advertising to let people know that there was one. And the week prior to that, we had our fair, and we kept announcing that there was going to be a Plainville Stadium reunion for a lot of the people that asked when it was. So we kind of informed them when the event was going on. So we got a lot of participation from that.
Well, that's good. That's good, Dave. Of course, your history with this car behind us is very special, and you got rolling here today, and you just it's priceless to see these cars, and every time we see a new one that's been redone, just brings us back to when we were kids.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of times. I mean, if people don't realize it, but it's probably over 50 years since they've actually Plainville Stadium is shut down, and a lot of the cars in 50 years have been either disappeared, so you don't find them, and to find one that you can reproduce or do over again is something that you put back in history and give back to the community.
Well, we want to thank you, Dave. We're going to try to have a word with Roland Sear, and I hope we do this, Davey, every year.
Well, the Lord willing, we can do it.
Lord willing, you got that right.
Yeah.
As long as we wake up in the morning, it's a good day.
Right.
Right? Okay,
Thank
buddy. And yes, John Manafort, you have Plainville Stadium roots, and I mean they go back a ways. And yes, certainly glad we're here, and I hope we could do this every year. Now tell me, how's it feel to be away from racing all this time?
Yeah, it brings back a lot of good memories. I still go to the races, so it's like once the racing bug gets you,
It don't leave.
you can never get rid of it. So I'm still involved, but it's good to see all the old cars and the old drivers and talk about stuff back when it was a lot of fun to do. So.
Of course, Frankie's gone now, and 76 and 76X, huh?
Yeah, that's a funny story. When we were kids, like 8, 9 years old, we used to go to the Waterford Speed Bowl, and Bill Slater was unbeatable there, and the only guy that could beat him was once in a while was Dick Beauregard, and he was number 76. When we wanted to go racing, Mo Gursey asked us what number we want, and we didn't have a clue, so we said 76 for lack of anything better, and it's been like that ever since. 76, 176X. Frankie used it on his midgets. I still got it on the cars that I sponsor with my nephews, and goes back a long way.
Yeah, when I went to the reunion, to see the modified, that car is gorgeous, let me tell you.
Yeah, that was something that Frankie did over that, it's like you lose track of the original cars, but you find one that sort of looks good and looks the same. And he did that over. It came out really good, yeah.
Now, you brought up a good subject. Corey and Dana, your nephews. How are they doing?
Yeah, they're doing awesome. Dana's running the open shows, tri-track and open 80s and that kind of thing. And Corey's been running at the bowl this year. He's won a race there, and he just missed being the track champion last week. He blew his motor, but he's doing good, and now he's in the Hummel 11 car, hopefully for next year, and at Stafford, and he's looking forward to that. But they're both doing really good.
So the next move is to Stafford. Now, one of them is there now, or no?
Corey goes there once in a while with his car, but he mainly runs the bowl. And but next year he's going to be in that 11 car every week. So
wow, that's going to be interesting, huh? And course, that keeps your foot in the action, huh?
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, like I say, once you're bit by the racing bug, you don't seem to ever get away from it. I still enjoy it. I watch the Cup race every week, religiously, and still enjoy going to Stafford, the Bowl, and whatever. So,
I have to say, I like racing today, but I enjoy watching vintage events more than I do the up-to-date stuff.
yeah, you're right. When the Cup race rained out last week, while they were in rain delay, they were showing some of the old races and the way the drivers used to interact and the things they used to do. It was you're right. It was more interesting than watching what's going on today.
Yeah, I was shocked, John, when I looked at Ronnie Bouchard's car. He won Talladega with. You're saying to yourself, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, local boy, local owner. A lot of New England connections there, and it's like we all sat and watched that last lap, or tried to watch it when the TV went out when Ronnie won. But it was a big deal for us.
Yeah, I can remember like it was yesterday. But the car, I mean, if you look at today's standards and you look at that car, you're saying, "Wow."
Yeah, they were a whole lot different back then. They had car seats and a lap belt, and some of them had fire suits and some didn't. And yeah, it was pretty amazing that they did what they did. And
It's hard to believe, I'll tell you.
yeah,
But racing progresses, and I don't even have a clue what it will cost you today to race in that series.
yeah. I still follow that fairly closely because I'm close with the Logano family, and Joey's doing real well, and so I pay attention. And if you want to do that, you better have like 25 to 30 million to start. Yeah. Well,
Well, even I have to say, this week when Bubba Wallace pulled off a win, would you believe we interviewed him at Lime Rock Park in 2010 when he was just coming out of go-karts?
yeah. And he did a good job. And a lot of people win rain races by their crew chief keeps them out when everybody else pits, and then it rains out and they win. He drove to the front. He drove to the front, and he earned it. He was there when the time when it counted, and it wasn't handed to him. He actually he raced for it. So.
Yeah. We were, I just felt at awe. Here's this kid we interviewed. He was 15 years old. Andy Santerre was his crew chief and ran the team.
Yeah, I didn't know all of that part of it, but that's
It was what they call a diversified team. It was 4 drivers. One was a girl and 3 other minorities. Yeah, and they did good.
yeah, and he's made it to the top now for sure. So
Yeah, once you win, especially winning a race, now it's going to help. And then that brings me back to in 1969, I went to Thompson Speedway to watch Richard Petty and David Pearson race. And back then, there was the Grand National or whatever. I don't even know what the hell it was. Wendell Scott was there. Yeah. You're saying this, oh my dear, But that's history there. Yeah. I think that was the only time they ever came to Connecticut.
Yeah, that was before my time, but it was Wendell Scott was certainly a trail breaker in racing. That he was doing it when it wasn't politically correct. He was just out there doing it because he wanted to do it. Yeah.
Believe me, he was tough in his day. The races just changed so much, and like I said, I just have a soft spot in my heart for this vintage stuff. I enjoy watching it so much.
Yeah, and it's good that guys are still building cars and still keeping cars up that are that have been out there, and it's good to see them. So.
Now, I've asked a couple of people this question. They are physically racing vintage cars now in real races.
Yeah.
What is up with that?
Yeah, well, it's the old guys with cars that they think are fast. It's racing. You want to race. You got to compete.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Dirt and asphalt. I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, they're tearing up some of these old cars, but they managed to fix them again. So.
Oh yeah. Well, hey, where is the will, there is a way.
Yeah, for sure. So.
I gotta ask you. You got a couple of sons that are involved in some. Does one of his motorcycle place or something?
Yeah, my son has a motorcycle shop, and and both of them sponsor numerous race cars. They're still involved. They still pay attention to everything's going on. They're both busy though, so they don't have as much time as I do. But they're still in the sport for sure.
Yeah, that's nice to see, and we'll have to visit them sometime because I understand one of them has car shows, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yeah, they've been having shows every month and attracting 200-300 custom cars and vintage cars and race cars, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. So,
Oh yeah, you gave them the roots. You're the patriarch.
yeah, well, it's been in the family because we grew up next to Plainville Stadium, and we've been involved back from the 50s. So.
Yeah, it's a nice thing, I'll tell you. Well, I don't want to tie you up anymore. I know you got to see a few more people here, and I want to thank you, John. As usual, you're on your game, and you tell Corey and Dana, I can't wait to interview them in the winter circle.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Phil Mitchell.
Yes, sir.
It's been a while since the Silver Six was in your sights, huh?
Yeah, about 1960. 1, 2, right along that area. Yeah, we won the championship in Plainville. I think it was 64. And Joe Fontana owned the car at that time. And Joe, he took a job in California. And so Smitty took over the reins and did a good job with it. I drove for Smitty for a couple of years. Yeah, he was a good guy to drive for.
Now, the secret in this car is really the head on that motor. Am I right?
You're right. Yeah, yeah. It had the Wayne conversion, and the difference is that the exhaust would come out the right side, and the other one would come out the left side.
Yeah, the GMC motor, and you're right, it was completely different. Whatever they did, it worked.
Oh yes, it worked very much. Yeah, Joe's the one that got that one going, and Joe was a funny guy. You could win a race today, and then he'd tear it all apart trying to make it better.
Oh, it makes it better. Wow.
Yeah. So.
Now, did you drive it at all when Smitty owned it, or no?
Yeah, I drove for Smitty for a couple of years, and Smitty was I've known Smitty ever since the 7th grade in school, and Smitty was good. His wife would keep the time watch on me. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's got quite a history in racing too, and whenever I see him, if you don't have that white uniform on, I give him hell.
All right. Yeah, I had a white uniform just like it, and my wife threw it out years ago.
Well, you know what?
By racing.
But that's history,
That's right.
And it's such a great thing to get together days like today and see the old cars and the old people, and
The old people, you don't recognize them.
that's right. It's history.
They're old.
It's history.
Right.
I hate to admit it, but yeah, we're old.
Right.
Well, I want to thank you, and glad you're here, and hope you have a good time. And
Thank
we're
you.
gonna do this for a lot of years. Let me tell you.
Well, I hope we're around to do it with you.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, we have moved over to the car owner of the Silver Six, Smitty, Walter Smith. But your name, as we know you as Smitty, right?
That's right.
How long you been racing, Smitty?
I'm trying to think. 57 maybe, 58.
That's when you start, or no?
Well, I bought the car from Joe Fontana when he moved to California.
Yeah.
So,
Well, rest his soul, but he just passed away, right?
yes, he did. I'm sorry to hear that. He was a wonderful guy.
Yeah, nice guy.
Oh, yeah.
He knew how to build this motor, huh?
Yeah, he did. But he didn't scrimp on good stuff. He put the best he could find. And those days there, nobody had racing stuff for Jimmy.
Oh, you got that right. I mean, he was on his game, let me tell you.
Yep. But
So where do you call home these days?
me, I live in South Glastonbury. I have ever since
South Glastonbury.
yep.
I want to thank you, Smitty. As usual, I hope we could see you here every year, and we're going to have some fun.
Okay. All right. That's a good deal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. You were excellent. Thank you for watching the show. Please return next week to Racing Action Today. The show brought to you in part by SalCal Real Estate Connections.